Hi there. So today I want to talk a little bit about Larry Crane's butt system. So what is Larry Crane's butt system? Well, essentially it was advice that he got from Lester Levinson on how to get anything that he wants. And essentially what Lester told Larry was just go home, sit on your butt, and release while keeping in mind the goal that you have that you want to meet. So for example, let's say that you have a particular relationship that is having trouble and you want that to get better. Or let's say that your goal is to grow a new business or to make $1 million or whatever. You basically would go home, sit on your butt, and release all negative emotions that would prevent you from actually achieving what you're looking for. Now, he didn't say specifically release just those things that would prevent that, but just releasing any negative, or releasing any emotion that you're attached to, any feelings that you're attached to, that will allow energy to flow through you that will help you to manifest the very things that you want. So you could kind of say it's like the secret, but there's a component to it that has to do with removing all the blocks within yourself that prevent you from achieving what you actually want. The whole idea is that the mind is a very powerful thing and that we are all creative beings, that we actually can manifest things instantaneously. From a spiritual standpoint, the idea is you can manifest things instantaneously by not having anything blocking you from doing so. The issue that we typically, that most humans have, is that they can't manifest what they really want because they have this belief really behind the scenes that they can't actually achieve it. They can't actually get what they want. Or they have self-defeating ideas that prevent them from achieving it. For example, for me, I've had this thought that, wow, I'd like to be a multimillionaire owning my own business. But as I go into that thought and the feelings surrounding that, I have these ideas from my grandparents where, well, really wealthy people, they don't pay attention to the poor people, they don't take care of them, that kind of thing. So there's this negative idea about being wealthy. And then the other thing is, oh, well, wealthy people, the super wealthy, they have a lot of money, but look at all the responsibilities they have, and they're chasing after the dollar, but they're not really happy. So there's these ideas that have been put into me that, money doesn't bring happiness kind of idea. But the reality is that there are, very wealthy people who are very happy as well, and who are very spiritual. And there are people who have learned how to not have to work so hard in order to get their wealth. They basically do it with effortlessness. And that is what this method is all about. So with the butt system, sitting on your butt and then releasing as you focus on what it is that you really want, what your goal is, as you release, what ends up happening is you're removing the roadblocks to that goal that you have. And I started doing this last night, actually, and I found it kind of interesting because before I had done aspects of this system in the past, done releasing and all that, but without really keeping in mind the goal that I have. So one of the goals that I had was to, or that I do have, is to become a multimillionaire. So I put out there $100 million as just a goal. I figure, high target. If I miss it, maybe I'll get a little lower. But the thing is that what would it take to become a multimillionaire making 7 figures, all right? Or 8 figures. That would be 100 million. I guess that's 8 figures. Anyway, so by thinking about that goal, some of the things that come up were this, well, now I'll be associating with a different group of people. That was one of the things that came up as the more I pondered and focused on this goal, it's like, okay, well, at that point, I may be living in a nice beach house in San Diego, and I'll probably be going to parties with people who are have money, who are influential, and very beautiful people, right? And so as I thought about this, one of the things that came up is, well, how will I feel, or how do I feel like right now, if I'm focusing on this goal as I am right now? How do I feel being in the presence of people who are highly influential, who have a large following of people behind them? Maybe they're senators or presidents or whatever, or they have lots of money. It could be multimillionaires, billionaires, spending $1,000 on a plate of food at a restaurant or more, $10,000 at exclusive parties, being around women who are models and very much established in their own right in their modeling careers. How do I feel now if I were just to take myself now and plop myself into one of those parties and being around those people and having a conversation with them? And what I realized is that it would be uncomfortable to me because I am not used to that world. And I am also insecure about being among people who I don't feel that I am, that I match in influence, finance, and maybe even beauty, right? So looking at that and thinking about that, I realized that certain feelings start to come up within my chest, and insecurity, and dealing with that insecurity, what I ended up doing is being able to bring those feelings up and then start the releasing process. So imagine myself in that situation, not with having already earned my several $100 million or whatever, but just as if it were me right now. Because one thing that people say is that having money doesn't really change who you are, but it accentuates who you actually are. So if you have a lot of negative thinking and a lot of negative beliefs, having more money is only going to increase the amount of those negative beliefs and those negative thoughts. And if you're a more positive person, money will enable you to use that for more positivity. So I just imagine myself right now with whatever I have in the moment among those people. Let's say that somebody sent me an invitation to be at a red carpet party, and it was $2,000 to $10,000 a plate or something like that. And I was there, and there were very influential people there, maybe senators, or could be high fashion people, or people that are well known in the music industry, or movie stars and that kind of thing. So when I imagine myself in that type of event, I start to think, okay, there's going to be all these beautiful people around me wearing super high price fashion that I don't wear, partially because I'm not in that scene, so I don't need to buy those things. I don't hang around those kind of people right now. And also, I really don't feel like I can afford it. I don't feel like spending $10,000 or $20,000 on a suit is something that makes sense for me. Partially because it's a big chunk of my current income, and partially because I don't hang out with those kind of people who really care whether I have that kind of a suit or not. So when I think about those things and look at plopping myself into this group of people with my H&M wear, and they're in their Armani suits and all this, how do I feel inside as a person among these other people who spending habits are so much greater than mine. And it brought up a feeling of insecurity and a feeling of unworthiness. And so the beauty of this but system is by keeping focus on that goal of what I want, while I'm doing the release, it allows those thoughts to come up of, well, what if I am really in that scene? What is it going to be like for me? And what feelings come up that are blocking me from actually being there, from actually having that manifest in reality? And so I think this is a key point, because a lot of us, or I can remember from my past, just thinking about my first introduction to The Secret, the book that supposedly was about, just think and you can manifest and all that. But the reality is that we don't manifest because we don't really believe what we are trying to manifest. We don't really think that what we want is achievable. If we did really believe it, then it would happen. So, and what makes me realize this, and I put a lot of belief in Jesus Christ and what he accomplished. And one of the things that he said is, if you just had the faith of a mustard seed, you could tell this mountain to jump into the sea and it would do it. So with that thought, it's like, okay, that's pretty absurd to think, okay, you could take this mountain and plop it into the sea. I mean, that's ridiculous. Why would somebody want to do that? But it was an absurd example that Jesus was trying to give, that something so ridiculous, first of all, it doesn't serve any purpose. It's not like it's helping feed 5,000 people or something. So it has no purpose from helping anybody. But also, it's a feat that somebody would think is totally impossible, that it can't be done. And he's saying all it takes is just a little mustard seed of faith to do that. Well, what does that mean? That means that we don't have even a mustard seed size faith to be able to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, which is really ridiculous. What that means is that we have doubt. Each of us has doubt that keeps us from doing exactly what it is that we really want to do, what we want, from getting what we really want to achieve. And it's by doing this releasing process that you actually find those little areas of doubt that are basically cutting away at whatever little faith you have. And by killing, well, you're not really killing it, but by letting go, by releasing that doubt, by finding it within yourself and just letting it go and saying yes to the insecurity that you have right now, knowing that that's just where you are, and then allowing yourself to release it, asking yourself, can I let this go? Can I let this insecurity go? Can I let this unworthiness feeling go? Can I let this doubt about myself go? And then just letting it go. And doing this process over and over until you feel clear, feel this openness within the body, within the core of your body, meaning that you've released the emotion that's been blocking you. So I came down with a cold a couple of days ago, and as I was doing this releasing, I actually noticed that my sinuses began to clear up. I started to feel better. And I think that a lot of the emotional stuff that holds us down, that locks us in, also prevents us from having true wellness. And I think by continually releasing that, we can be truly healthy as well. And I'm saying this partially because of my own experience, but also what I've heard from others who claim that they have, healed themselves by releasing and getting to a point where they basically lost all attachment to negative emotions and basically became imperturbable. And in being imperturbable, nothing bothers a person. Imperturbability means that you're unbothered. So no circumstance, no person, no situation, no words from another actually has any impact on you, because you realize that nothing really does impact me. The only thing that impacts me is what I believe, what I think. And it's one thing to know that intellectually or to think that intellectually, but to experience it, to realize it emotionally, I think is the key, is to get to the point where it's beyond just your intellectual understanding of it, but to really feel it, to really know it, internalize it, to have it as part of your being, that you are not affected by anything externally. It's only what you believe internally that you're impacted. So that is what I wanted to say for today. The only other thing I wanted to leave you with is the book that I had mentioned the other day, which is the book by Larry Crane. I think in the title of the book, or the author's name, they listed as Lawrence Crane. But it's basically love yourself and let others have it your way. That book, throughout as I'm reading it, it's kind of interesting that it's very repetitive, very repetitive. But there's a reason for that repetition. I've seen in the reviews, the people who've given it negative reviews talk about how repetitive it is. But the whole point of that repetition is because of because of the method being so simple. All there is to do is the same thing over and over and over again, but with different emotions, with anger, with pain, with sadness, with anxiety, with all these different types of emotions. You're doing the same process over and over and over and over and over again. But every time you do it, you're releasing a little more and a little more and a little more, and becoming more present with who you actually are. And that's key to achieving everything in life and the ultimate happiness that all of us seek. So I know that in my videos, because I'm harping on the same thing over and over again, it's probably redundant, but hopefully by taking different angles at it, it's beginning to sink into you, and this will help you to also find your freedom and the release from your bondage that keeps you from achieving everything you want in life. That's all I have for now. Ciao.